games over HeroesHearth, which is a bit of a, I don't want to go as far as to say rivalry, but maybe a smidge of a grudge match here between two North American teams. Long old teammates, but Gale Force seems to have the upper hand here today, Jay.
You know what makes it a rival, Dread?
Oh, hit me with it.
Both teams have to win. Right now, Gale Force smashing them 2-0.
Yeah.
They won the previous series. HeroesHearth, if they're going to make it a rivalry other than a grudge match, they got to come back.
Figuring out where we're going for game number 3. If they can get the comeback, we're going to be headed to Sky Temple, selected there by Gale Force Esports, as HeroesHearth wants to stick to that first pick selection.
Time to bust out another Abathur.
Another Abathur possibly could be the case here.
You know, that Abathur Cassia pairing, I took a look at the numbers in between those games. 82,000 damage using those charged strikes. The next highest in the game, 47,000 on the other side for HeroesHearth.
Adrenal overload, pretty good, pretty neat.
Yeah, not bad at all. But Biggie showing up in these first 2 games, and it's some of those things that you just kind of like to see. Obviously, the ice barrier in game 1 on Jaina, maybe not the traditional what you would expect. The Abathur here showing up, not what you expect, but it's working.
It is working. See if they'll continue the trend of that working for them here. Starting off with the draft. Again, I hate to break it to you guys at home. I don't think Medivh is going to make it through this ban phase. Maev on the side of HeroesHearth. Gale Force spent, I think it was Gale Force that had the 52 seconds to think about the Medivh.
Yeah.
We'll see if they spend 52 or if they're a little bit more confident with it this time.
I think I'm going to get 53, just for fun.
I actually rate the team's individual confidence level based on how many seconds they spend with their selection.
That's my, like, if I have a hero that I want to play, like, I'm literally mashing it. You snap lock in, you're like, I mean business.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate, like, I'm coming for you.
It's one of those, to be honest with you, when I was drafting, a lot of the times I would even cut down as many seconds of information as I can. For instance, there's never a time I will lock in one hero where I don't immediately snap lock in the second one, right? It's like just like always, oh, there's all the information all at once. It's as little as you get, as little as advantage. They call me a bit of a tryhard, but I don't know why.
There's more than just the clicking buttons.
We hit the 52. Still taking their time.
55.
You know, that is about 5 more seconds confidence than I was looking for from them.
That's confidence.
Yeah, Malfurion picked up HeroesHearth first pick. Going to disincentivize any opportunity maybe move into the Tracer. If it is going to be a Tracer select, I expect that to be paired with Fury's Tyrael. Please do that. Please give me Tyrael once again for Fury. If we don't see that, are we going to see the expected, you know, Stukov in this rotation that we've seen so conveniently through most of North America?
You know, a hero we haven't been able to talk about much since we came back, and a hero that I think both these teams might adapt to that does well kind of in this open area is a potential Zeratul. When you look at B-Kid and McIntyre, both of them have a rich history with Zeratul, and both have played it multiple times this season.
That's a good point. Zeratul, if he has 2 meta maps, I would argue they're Sky and Curse. A little less Sky, since I feel like some of the changes have happened not only to the game and the character himself, but still definitely something to be looking for. Gale Force has taken a hot minute to pick this rotation. It's going to be Blaze Garrosh. I like the Garrosh priority, making the Tracer a little bit less scary, or a little bit, you know, more controllable for Gale Force Esports if HeroesHearth want to commit to it. The Blaze for any kind of momentum in case this teamfight gets a little bit wild. Generally speaking, he's one of the safest picks, I think, in the game right now, to just pick a Blaze at almost every spot of the rotation minus first pick.
You know, I'm looking at the who will win stats down there. I'm pretty sure I snuck a peek at those before the second game, and people were still on the HeroesHearth train. Looks like people's minds are changing. Gale Force definitely doing that through the first 2 games. HeroesHearth, Genji's still available, Hanzo's still available, as well as that Greyman. You got to expect one of those 3 for Krone to come through unless they want to mix it up themselves, maybe try and find a different formula after finding themselves down 2 games.
I will say the fact that HeroesHearth opened game 1 with a 5th pick Rexar, and then the game 2 not having any wild kind of bamboozle cards in the back pocket make me feel like it's likely we see a lot of comfort, a lot of kind of older play here from HeroesHearth Esports. They do commit to a Hanzo and a Malthael to be able to better deal with the Blaze and that Garrosh. I really like that Malthael force. I guess it's not so much a force, but at least the answer on the side of HeroesHearth. If we see that go through, it's inevitably going to be Gale Force's ban. It counters both of their 2 picks.
Gale Force with the ban here. You already see quite a bit locked in. It's weird because Arthalon kind of makes you second guess things just a little bit because he actually has 2 Malthael games under his belt during the first part. I don't know if we'll kind of see that heavy melee front line again. So obviously the Arthalon factor has to always be considered. And is that really going to be McIntyre on Malthael, or could they be flexing into something different?
Gale Force hasn't committed in any direction too much with their draft so far. I feel like if they're afraid of a Tracer pickup, which I don't think they necessarily need to be, now that we see the Malthael, it could be reasonable, but either that or a Genji. They commit to a Tyrael ban instead. Understandably so. Works well with the Hanzo, able to keep him alive. If this ban onto Stukov happens, it'll be interesting to see if we do end up seeing the Uther commitment for Gale Force.
I mean, it's interesting when you look at the hero pools about how they evolve month by month almost, sometimes week by week. The Stukov, obviously, since the clashes, has taken a big priority, but Lucio was a big part of Akaface's repertoire in the beginning. I don't think we're going to see any Brightwing anytime soon, but
yeah,
Akaface and Brightwing are kind of synonymous in terms of they go way back in terms of it's been his favorite hero for a long time, but the meta just doesn't fit Brightwing right now.
Malthael, Malfurion, and Hanzo is definitely Lucio Bull, is what the word I'm going to stick with there. It's Lucio Bull. Yeah, I'm taking them back. That one didn't work. I'll work on it. You know, maybe if you guys want to tweet at us using the hashtag HGC, come up with a better one for that. But it's very good to have Malthael into a Lucio. Works pretty well. Now that Last Rites is a thing, you could argue, well, what about the opportunity of getting the one-shot, which you can project that's going to be picked up, right, to deal with Garrosh? I'd still say, you know, it's not too shabby. Garrosh has definitely got to be a little bit more self-aware with his positioning in a lot of the cases. If not, I feel like I'm missing something. I don't think it'll be a Lili. I'll say that much. I'm pretty confident we won't get ourselves a Lili.
Genji Greymane under consideration, I think, for Gale Force down the road. Maybe, again, that Falstad potentially here, given that it is Sky Temple. But with the amount of control that they have, I think I'd be fine if they go double backliner, unless they want to mix things up. Got 2 picks coming up right now.
Tyka's Jaina. Bringing back the Jaina and leaving that support available. I like this. The fact that we get a little bit more Jaina. I talked about it at Eastern, talked about it yesterday when we got some of the games with Jaina. Just feel like she's been undervalued. I don't feel like she's meta. I don't even know if I would put her as a tier 1, but definitely as like a T2 backliner. She just doesn't do some things better than other range, but for the most part, she caters to a lot of the things necessary within this meta, which is pretty much, can you do enough damage to get a kill if you just throw out all your spells? And Jaina's really good at that. Like,
well, that makes the Tyrael ban that much better because burst healing is not what Malfurion has. You can land your Moonfire, but it's not normally enough to deal with the Jaina damage, and the extra shielding that you would potentially get from Tyrael is now not available. Malthael, as we were talking about in the early part of this series, because assassins are much squishier, we're seeing a huge trend towards the double warrior frontline. So you could potentially blow up some of these heroes.
If HeroesHearth gets weird with this draft and goes a different route to maybe compensate for that, maybe something like a Zarya. We get ourselves a Junkrat and a nice J-How.
Apparently.
It was Junkrat Johanna, the rotation here.
I'm looking at draft.
I mean, both of them are J's, and we were just looking for a third one. We needed J. Howard.
Oh, man. Johanna J. That's close.
You know, they tried. I'm just wondering how many J heroes can we pick in a row. We've got Jaina, Junkrat, Johanna, and to be honest, I don't even know off the top of my head if we have another J.
Vanis.
There you go. J. Vanis. Support here for Gale Force Esports. Akaface, what will it be? Will it be the rare Lucio? Or in fact, are we going to see ourselves an Uther? Or is it going to be something else? Mixing it up. I feel like I'm missing a support off the top of my head.
Karazim.
Yeah, Karazim. Yeah, that's the one I'm missing. Karazim in this case. I personally would rather the Uther, but I can see an argument for him.
Maybe just the Rhaegar. I don't know. It's Akaface has played quite a few.
Hey, Lucio. I'm glad we get the Lucio.
So he is Lucio Bull.
He is Lucio Bull. We figured that out. Confirmed. Akaface approved. We'll see if the results are there to back it up. It is going to be an interesting game for the Lucio, though. It's still going to be This is going to be a last rights Malthael, which means the normal matchup where you go, oh, I see a Malthael on the other side. I'll go ahead and pick Lucio and not care about your ability to put your passive on everybody and do percentile damage because I'll just outshield it. Now it's a, can I keep the Garrosh alive? And if you're using your heroic just to keep one person alive, we know that normally isn't necessarily the best case in thought process. So it's going to be weird on the kind of trade-off. Garrosh, again, is going to have to be a bit more self-aware, keeping himself alive. Maybe adjust the build to deal with that. Maybe Indomitable at 4.
It's a very standard draft. I don't think this is one that I would have expected to see from Gale Force, but they're definitely playing very safe, very standard. Tychus and Jaina on the back line. Plenty of burst, frontline control on the tanks. You've got Blaze and Garrosh on the front line. See if they can kind of double up and combo that. You get the toss over. Maybe you get the boot back from Lucio as Akaface. I'm going to keep an eye on his positioning as well and how well he can set up his team.
You'll have the Jaina there. The relative speed of Gale Force pretty much should always be in their favor compared to HeroesHearth. You have the Lucio to speed you up and the Jaina to slow them down, along with Blaze. Other than that, though, Lucio, one thing about him within this meta that I haven't gotten to see but hypothesizing about is just how well does Hanzo versus Lucio kind of go? Because Hanzo, great poke. Lucio, great at dealing with helping, healing, and sustaining that poke. But it's just how easy Dragon's Arrow is to hit as an interrupt, and then how probable are you to get off a sound barrier. My head, the math problem says Hanzo wins every time. But it's one of those kind of, am I being too realistic, idealistic with the kind of way that unfolds?
Time will tell. We actually see Redemption being picked up by Hanzo, not going into that Scatter Arrow build. And without that Scatter Arrow, it does make it, you know, the boss consideration a little bit different. Obviously, you can still go down that route in 4 at 7, but, you know, a lot of times we'll kind of see the Explosive Arrow at level 4 to kind of deal with the front line, get some of that poke, as well as contribute to the wave clear. But they definitely have plenty of wave clear when you look at the Junkrat, the Malthael, and the Johanna. So definitely a little bit more involvement in terms of just your sheer auto attacks. So we'll see how Crowan approaches that as 4 and 7 approach.
We do, after the nerfs, the Redemption pickup for Hanzo, it feels like it's become less common, but only until like the Garrosh pairing mixed with the, you know, opportunity to get the armor shred. It seems like that is the time and place where we see that, especially without the boss control you're talking about needed on Skye. It's just one of those few kind of anybody at home wondering, why do we see what builds when? Garrosh changes a lot with his armor, and a lot of the drafting compositions have to deal with finding ways to execute that. Insert last rights relevance here.
Nor is it. Either way, Big E and Michael Udall trying to clear out. Both siege camps just kind of hanging out. One left on the side of HeroesHearth, a couple here for Gale Force. You can already see on the minimap, though, Malthael working on their night camp. We'll see what value that gets after we see how far HeroesHearth wants to defend here, because these camps are still pushing Gale Force. Generally, we don't see teams hang out this long, Dread.
And I love that Gale Force is willing to protect their Giants and stick around like this. Hold up, though. BBJ got knocked up. Flip's going to land onto the Johanna. Fury pretty much just taking what he can get there with that toss. But I was talking about it a little bit in, you know, some of the series yesterday, too, about do you go with a 3-man defense or a 2-man defense? And I can't help but feel like if you actually intend them to get any amount of value, you always want to commit with the 3. And if you're not going to do that, you should be sending a 3-man gank rotation to the opposite side. What we see HeroesHearth doing is pretty much exactly that. But Gale Force, because they were faster with the 3-man rotation and control over the mid lane, they were able to at least find themselves an advantage. The biggest disadvantage here is how Jaina did not back out and start the night camp, which is normally what you would see in this trade because Blaze has been struggling so heavily. So this is a good job from HeroesHearth, but I can't help but feel like I appreciate the rotation decision-making more so on the side of Gale Force. Just HeroesHearth has what I would say is just superior poke and clear, and a large reason they're able to dictate control over this before the first try.
Indomitable used there by Fury, seeing if he can close that gap and get onto Crowan on that backside, unable to do so. And I think, you know, you're right on that. They do have quite a bit. I think a lot of our compositions right now generally have like a Genji and a standard hero, a Tracer and a standard hero. But this time you've got Tychus and Jaina, and they both kind of fit the mark of we can clear camps, we can defend against waves. And a lot of our compositions right now don't normally fit that style.
McIntyre found himself a Mike Udall, and, you know, normally you'd say that was you know, a little, at least maybe even close, but in fact was not. Damage was there done the minute he got dismounted. Now that's going to lead to an advantage here. HeroesHearth still up a man over Gale Force. Gale Force recollecting themselves with a 4-man commitment over mid. Akaface already using the E and amplified healing for the squad.
HeroesHearth also still up that talent tier. 7 not picked up yet for Gale Force. Ishbu being very aggressive as he goes in. Going into the punishment talent at 7, hitting 2 heroes, getting that big time slow. As you can see, a lot of damage towards Biggie and Fury on the way out. As Biggie forced to go back and tap and try and re-engage, but so far this has been a completely dominant Temple phase for HeroesHearth.
Yeah, that was a really good synergy there displayed by HeroesHearth, especially out of Arthon to kind of hold up. Mikey Dahl pressured on top, throws out the damage. McIntyre's going to go ahead and chase in. McIntyre, will he survive? He will not end up getting the kill, but it looks like he'll keep himself alive, dancing around, skirting around Gale Force Esports. Fury going to go ahead and flip Ishbu. Mikey Dahl ends up dropping to Crowin.
Dude, shout outs to BBJ for that moonfire into the bush there that grants the vision.
Yeah, that was very well done. Very clutch play there. Crowin even going to use the passive leap over. It's a bit of damage from the spray and pray out of Tychus, but this is HeroesHearth claiming a lot. 3 kills already for themselves. A full level pretend. They're going to back this with the Knights. They're going to get 10 off of this top. Honestly, this is top keep if they want it.
This is walk right
just
in.
a keep if they, in fact, decide that that's what they want. Personally, Sky Temple's the only map where I would say, I don't know if this keep is worth your call, because it takes so much time with so much sacrifice, and you go, but it's a keep, Dread. And I would be like, that keep is going to die if I can just rid all of these forts anyways with the next Shrine phase. HeroesHearth immediately cycle out, go for mid, then we can expect them to go bottom. The question is, when does the boss start?
The boss factor, obviously not going into the scatter arrow build for Hanzo, would take a little bit more time, but they do have quite a bit of tools and the level 10 to deal with it. Instead, they're thinking they can get this mid fort down. I imagine after they do this, then their attention will be. They've bought themselves so much time, Dread. It's literally they can do whatever they want, and there's absolutely nothing Gale Force can do about it.
This is an interesting choice for them. All right, so we see HeroesHearth back out and get the boss, and they were a little bit slow with the rotation to mid. The question is, Gale Force. Is Gale Force, they're actually going to contest this. My goodness, down Heroics. They're going to contest this 5 versus 5. Fury getting just reamed around. No opportunity to survive. Last rights, there goes the Junkrat.
Maybe they just wanted a game 4.
I mean, it's one of those moments where I can see you going, they're going to gain so much out of this, maybe we need to panic. But what you would normally do is you poke and prod. You look to see if it looks even semi-successful. And Jaina was already in rotation. You could tell the call was, we are stopping this boss. We'll find out what HeroesHearth can make happen with this boss. It did buy a little bit of time and lack of, double giant camp stacking on the side of HeroesHearth, which, I mean, would have been ideal considering how colossal this advantage is.
10 almost here for Gale Force. I was going to say, HeroesHearth needs to send somebody back to that temple. Gale Force, but HeroesHearth has put themselves in a position, Dread, where HeroesHearth doesn't need the full channel. They can rotate up. They're already soaking another lane. Because they took so long to get onto this, they're likely to get out. You can actually see Ishbu already stepped off of it, but with Fury taking so much damage because of that threat of Hanzo that you had talked about at level 1. Getting that armor shredding at level 7, just keeping Fury pushed back, bought them a few extra seconds.
Try to get some kind of playmaking capability. Cronin keeping him in check with that armor shred on those auto attacks. Malthael hasn't even made this cycle down. He does have on a pale horse in case things get hairy. The boss still pushing, but it's almost dead as it goes down. Look at this.
2 levels.
I mean, yeah, it's just really the question here is, when does Hanzo decide to press R for me? Because they can decide to initiate it at almost any point in time. The rest of the shots picked up for them. The biggest thing I would like to say over the initiation, over the Gale Force, kind of on the boss, is it did at least slow down what was already a pretty slow rotation on the side of HeroesHearth. HeroesHearth set themselves up in a dream scenario, but when we really look at how big their advantage is compared to how much they got, it was, I would say subpar. They got a lot, and it's one of those moments where I think, if anything, you can, by the fact that they got so much, and I'm saying they didn't get as much as they could, is highlighting, how insanely radical that position was to find themselves in.
Ishbu being very aggressive with his approach, 13-11. HeroesHearth, they've not only taken down all 3 forts, but we are talking about keep wall damage done at the top on the side of Gale Force, and I believe that is actual keep damage done via that last temple to that bottom keep. That opens up the potential boss play going forward of an early boss ending the game.
You're right about bottom. It is actual keep damage. Top half. Actual keep front wall damage here. It's going to go down.
I really am curious, Dredd, on this next approach, because generally, hold on a second, but we've got top-bottom temple. Generally, there's a huge contention towards the bottom because the temples fire the closest lane to you, and in this case, the bottom lane is already opened up, but Heroes Hearth just opened up the top lane. Is it just a matter of wherever Gale Force is, you go the other, or do you actually prioritize one over the other? Given that you're this far ahead, I should say.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's a little bit of both. I would say at this point in time, a lot of your decisions are made off of idealistic, what is the most optimal, which means prep the opposite. Always when you can split pressure and the distance between one point of pressure on your opponent to the other is longest, it's going to be most, profitable for your team. Hold up, though. Ooh. This is an invade attempt coming out from Gale Force.
Heroes Hearth does not need to risk this. They are so far ahead, but they are still here.
B-Kid's going to collapse if he flanks.
Wow.
End up picking it up for themselves. But first, going back to that question is, first you go with the intent of, yes, that's what I want to do ideally. But then you go at all points of time. If you mess up and show too much information in one area where I go, oh, I can get a little bit more than that in a different way, then you automatically on the fly should always make that rotation, make that adjustment, make that call. I would say in that one specifically, it's starting with the optimal and then realizing, hey, we can get split pressure with the Giants at bottom. Also, you see the blaze, so then you go definitely take top. 16 closing in for for Heroes Hearth, and at this point, it's just going to be, can Gale Force find a fight somehow on the same talent tier this game, really?
I don't even know if that's a probability at this point. So Gale Force, after their somewhat early, you could almost declare it a little bit of a panic response to that early boss, now we'll have to have a far greater mountain to climb because bottom keep is down. Middle keep will be under assault, at least the wall will. Probably won't do much beyond that. But because Siege Giants will be mounting soon, Catapult's obviously a ways out, next rotation of minions, there's not a lot that Gale Force can do outside of getting desperate around the boss again, which I believe is not too far out. It's actually spawning in 8 seconds.
All right, so let's throw down boss control then. You have Lucio, Boop, not that great. Garrosh Threat, pretty terrifying, but not that insane. Odin, that's pretty terrifying. Bunker can stall time. Jaina, pressure on point. A little bit intimidating. Johanna, Junkrat, Hanzo, Malfurion, and Malthel. I would say I give boss control slightly to Gale Force, but then when we consider the talent tiers not so much, Jaina is yet to make the rotation down. She actually gave this information on mid. She's not going to flank either. B-Kid's going to be the man flanking. Odin down. Let's see how the boss goes.
It's going as they're engaging everybody on top. McIntyre taking so much damage, but he's returning it there as Fury goes down. BBJ and team on Heroes Hearth, Dread have fallen. Akabe somehow makes it out of there alive. The Riptire is going to come in. This is the only way that Heroes Hearth can allow Gale Force back into this game. And I am blown away the fact that they decided to fight on that boss, Dread.
Yeah, it's a risky play there. Oh man, it's just risky from beginning to end, and it's going to allow a little bit of clear here from Gale Force.
I mean, think if they just literally rotate all the way around, get control of vision, rotate, take the top, keep, and walk away. They lose a fort wall at most, maybe the bottom fort on a crazy day. But that is just, I mean, they're still so far ahead that even losing 3 members is bad, but you question, will they be able to fight on a talent tier? They sure will be able to now.
Yeah, the answer is very clear now to that kind of, question. They will, in fact, get themselves that talent tier, even talent tier fight. Damage on core set to 93. 2 keeps still stand. 1 keep from wall stands for Gale Force. So they are too concerned about these shots now going to be spawning on mid. Whoever controls I is going to have a huge advantage when it comes to positional initiation. Ishbu identifying this, going to move up first. Fury going to say Nai.
Dread, I mean, seriously, this is now single temple phase.
Yeah.
And this is exactly where Gale Force, this is best case scenario for them. In worst case for Heroes Hearth, it's almost like they need to just stop and do nothing. Forcing out this rotation will be good.
It's one thing I really appreciate from Heroes Hearth is that it does seem like they're comfortable doing that. But Jane is actually collapsing onto Junkrat. The 1v1 is going to be real down there. He actually gets the disengage. Fury, though.
We got a 4v4 up here, Dread.
Yeah, we got the 4v4. Odin used, zoning out. Jaina goes back for the Junkrat now. Bunker entrance is there. Mikey Doll hits Arth. That's slow number 1. There's the E, or excuse me, the W concussion mine knockback. I meant the E, W into D there. He's just taking him for a ride. Oh, man, this is Arth.
Are you kidding me? I want to say that I think he might have gone into base.
He did.
And used it to springboard to the other side. What?
You know, I've seen Arthelon do some wacky stuff back in my day, but that might have been near the top of the list there.
Oh my God.
That was very well done. And, you know, even more so, I would say the fact that Mike Dudal was going for the split to try and get out the rotation and get the kill. They had the right person, the right intent, but just that 13 talent for Junkrat, getting at that cooldown whenever you hit just yourself with the concussion mine. Turns out it's meta, you know, real good for a reason. Plays like that.
I want to watch the replay, watch the Junkrat, because I think that he concussion mined into the base, but it had to be at a specific angle to make sure that you get shot the other direction. That is how wild that was. I don't care how this game turns out anymore.
It's purely based on the Arthelon's Junkrat plays and getting the, you know, kind of flank around the choke. The one thing for me is that, you know, I'm still sitting here in awe on the fact that we watched Gale Force win a team fight around a boss, two full talent tiers down, when it didn't start as an optimal initiation for them. Boss pressuring bottom is something they might want to answer to, as there's 80% on the core. There's a lot of threat here from McIntyre. Last right goes in, forces out the sound barrier from Akaface. Ice block already uses. The Tranquility is there. BBJ's in a very bad position. Gale Force track him down, get the 2 kills, but it comes at the cost of Jaina. Arthelon uses the Riptire, gets the explosion. Fury enters into the bunker. Malthael is going to be waiting here onto the side. Now the Giants making it to the core.
He's back to the core. Junkrat is going back to the core. Arthelon is going to try and go, but Ishbu is going to try and keep them from backing. That's why you see the reinitiation here is Ishbu going in, McIntyre as well. It's just too early right now as B-Kid has made it back, and now Ishbu and McIntyre, they do not want to stagger these Death's Dread.
Yeah, they're going to stagger them, though. McIntyre, the man, going to be going down without the 20 talent tier. If they pick up the 20 talent tier off of any minion wave right there, that would have been allowing him to get the no one can cheat death, get the buyback essentially, and join in here.
Boss in 30 seconds. Both temples are here, and staggered deaths on the side of HeroesHearth. Gale Force is making this comeback happen through improbable fashion. In HeroesHearth, I just don't understand why they're being aggressive at times where you don't have to be aggressive.
I mean, I think a lot of it is just panic at this point, right? Arthelon able to get that, disengage and keep himself alive there. I thought for sure that'd be enough for him to go down. But, you know, it turns out Arthelon on Junkrat is about as squirrely as can be.
It's so just like, I want to kill you so bad. I almost want to, like, as much as it is, it's like, I can imagine being on the other side, like, dude, like, you're killing me here.
I guarantee Arthelon's just sitting there going, having a blast, knowing every ounce of that frustration being instilled there. Junkrat is getting that pressure towards top. Hanzo goes, you know what, we don't need this fight. We're going to go bottom instead, confirm the rest of this key. Those shots are enough to end this game, or almost end it, at least.
He might have to use play of the game if he's going to escape here. He has natural agility, but going over that wall, you can see Fury is anticipating him there. He's going to go ahead and dip out. Yeah.
Honestly, the only time, if that play of the game had been used while Arthelon and Malthael or somebody is going for core, and then it's all in on the core at that point, I would have loved that call. But to use play of the game, or use your heroic Dragon's Arrow, at that point in time, you have to all in melee essentially right now, which McIntyre doesn't have very much core damage at all. That sound barrier is very early though, but McIntyre maybe caught out too much. The all-in Hail Mary play is going to be here. Inevitable end used, but the inevitable end is going to be for Malthael as he drops. Riptire explodes. Shot's not going to be finished on bottom. Tranquility used. Has the opportunity to use No One Can Cheat Death, but he's going to hold on to that cooldown for now. Boss is up.
Boss's big-time play, and if Gale Force gets that boss dread, they don't need to just take a keep. They might need to try and end the game, because next temple phase, it's core damage.
They have to go. At this point in time, even if they get the boss, they are so worried about their base.
They're going to look for a backdoor again. At least fake the backdoor to force out another Hearth.
Oh, man. This is interesting choice. Gale Force needs this pressure on bottom. They will get the Giants. If they stack the Giants, okay, big impact will start the boss. Nobody's going to be there to scout for some time. Johanna will make her way up after consuming the bottom shots. She should comfortably be able to make it out of this situation if she decides to do so. I just want to give a huge shout out to Jaina and Blaze this game. Both of them sitting back in the base, keeping a lot of control, a lot of vision, and never really getting caught out that much, you know. That's normally what we see in those type of situations. Obviously, Arthalon has made that a very challenging task this game. Invade here for Ishbu, has Indestructible. Arthalon, maybe throw out the concussion mine. Not everybody can stay on that. There's the Odin, maybe mistimed a little bit.
Oh, he used his Indomitable to dodge the first one, but now the Odin is out, Dread.
Riptire going to come through, but immediately gets deleted there from Jaina, and the damage. Arthalon gets blown up by Mikey Doll hitting the root. They get the one kill they need. They now get the boss on top of it, and this is now a win condition. You were just talking about they need to all in with the boss, but they needed to all in with the boss and get kills. Arthalon taking the risk for that 3 versus 4 defense, the team, and now they have an opportunity. But Gale Force also has a very vulnerable base. Look at Blaze and Jaina trying to hold off here.
Fury's going down as well. The bunkers used. They're all dodging out on the right side. Udall goes down. B-Kid falling as well. Fury going the other way. Last right is there, but that might be enough for them to go directly onto the core as Crowan and team are here, but Biggie and Akaface are here. Odin is not available. This is it. This is the race, right? Oh my goodness, they're going to back out. They're going to leave that bottom boss and get the free clear. This boss is not in the game. It does get permanent damage on core, but not enough to be overly concerned. I'd say it falls about 60 at the end of the day. What is happening in this game? Maybe not even, actually. That thing is not going to hurt. Oh, plus we have McIntyre here. Now, Catapult's definitely doing a significant amount of damage. All Heroes Hearth has to do, Dread, is channel one Temple. Temple spawn 15 seconds, 27 seconds out for Blaze, 20 seconds out for Jaina at this point in time. There's a small delay. So Fury and team looking to be aggressive, trying to find a pick in the meantime. Ishbu very far forward here. Dragon's Arrow comes out, lands onto him. Riptire from the backline, gonna knock back, and oh, we see that last rights, and that is going to be Garrosh dropping before the sound barrier lands from Akaface. There's already damage on the core as well. Blaze and Jaina just now spawning, but the shots are here, and at this point, what has been the most hectic result, predictable result, I feel I have ever seen in HGC North America. HeroesHearth Esports will in fact win this game and send us to a game number 4. Dread, I have never seen a team that far ahead somehow let the opponent back in that much. Like, I mean, maybe in quick match, I've seen situations like that. I've never seen anything like that. It started at the boss, and the minute this boss happened, I asked the guys in back because I had no idea how this went this well. I was just like, I need that as a replay because this is a major turning point in a game that has no way of winning. So 14 into 16. How does this boss get this bad? Look at the flank down below. This is proper coming up from B-Kid. Somebody to have a different approach. We see the Odin used. McIntyre moves out. The knock-up. 2-man jet propulsion, a lot of damage from Odin, a lot of focus onto Fury with the taunt as well, and everybody just staying clumped. Jaina having a heyday in that fight. Mike Udall was the man, the myth, the legend, the reason that was able to turn around. But all that clumping that we saw at the side of Heroes Hearth was the reason that was able to hold off and turn that fight. And then from that point on. This is the Junkrat. Watch the bottom right. Yeah. So, okay. And you got to watch the minimap because we have to check, right? So he goes over here, and you get the cooldown reduction. Watch the minimap. Watch the minimap. He shoots himself over there. Are you kidding me? All right, so for anybody who's wondering how that's even possible is because the Hall of Storms doesn't push you out until you actually make a point of contact with it, and because the knockback puts you above that point up until you end up hitting, what happens is he flies over to the back left, and then it pushes you out closest to the entrance, right, which is going to be off to that side. Anybody who's maybe slightly BMing and winning games really hard and slammed in the Hall of Storms might know that. I wouldn't know that because that's not me. I'm not that guy, never done that, don't know what you're talking about. But it was a very clever use of a mechanic I have never seen used in a competitive game. So very well done here from Heroes Hearth. And it's why they're able to send us to game number 4. It makes me, I still walk away from this game and I go, I feel like impressed with some of the things Gale Force was able to make happen. That being said, I wouldn't put it past Heroes Hearth with the development that they have had as of late to really be able to get the reverse sweep here either. I'm sitting here thinking, like, the only map you probably can't, if you get Towers of Doom next, obviously we'll find out soon. If you get Towers of Doom next, it's pretty hard to walk all the way into the Hall of Storms, and maybe you could use a Morales or something with a
You know, I've taken that one a little bit farther than I have some of my other weird mechanics in this game, but I haven't pushed it far enough to be able to make it all the way into the Hall of Storms.
Can you imagine this week somebody's going to be in a game and they're going to get behind the keep and they're going to be like, I could concussion mine out, I could try and trade here, but there's going to be somebody that's like, what if I jump behind the keep? And then I jump over to here, and then I try and jump somebody's trying that this week at home, and there's going to be a clip out there, and it's going to be terrible because I guarantee they won't pull it off.
It is one of those, you know, the pros typically wear it better, but we'll find out. You know, I'm prepared for it.
Dude, if somebody pulls that off, please tweet it at me. I have to see. I've never seen anything like that. You'll probably never see anything like that again. That is a once-in-a-lifetime situation, a once-in-a-lifetime thing that it will ever have happen in a competitive game. If I ever see that again, I'll retire.
Clip that. That's what I
Hold on. Wait, this is a live show?
Yeah, no, it turns out.
Wait,
yeah, no going back from
this
that
is
one
live.
here, mate. Yeah. Time's up.